Hi, my name is Minda Hartz, and I'm your host of Secure the Seat. Every week at noon on Mondays, you can join me here with a special guest as we have lunch. And so I'm so happy that you're here. I know that we have people watching us on LinkedIn Live and YouTube, and I'm so excited to talk to my guest this week because we're really going to dive in about the importance of diversity in government. And I'd like to join Nike Adebayo. Did I get that right?
Got it right.
She is the candidate for Miami-Dade Circuit Court Judge, which the election is happening in how many days?
Well, election's actually happening now, early voting, but the actual election is August 18th.
Awesome. And so if you know anyone in Dade County area in Florida, please make sure that you connect with them and let them know what they need to do on that day and now, right up until that day. But welcome, Nike. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Minda, for having me. This is awesome.
No, I'm so excited to talk with you and tell everybody just a little bit about you and how we got to becoming a candidate for Dade County Circuit Court.
Absolutely. So I'm originally from Chicago. I came here for law school for University of Miami School of Law, and I began my career there. I actually started interning at the state attorney's office, was there for about 10 years, the police department here, and now a defense attorney. My mom's from Ohio. My dad's from Nigeria, so grew up biracial in the Midwest. Wasn't easy, but the marriage taught me about diversity, overcoming challenges, to value and respect everybody for who they are, and that our differences shouldn't divide us, they should bring us together. And just after practicing 20 years here in the community, always knew I wanted to be a judge. And so now running, like I said, early voting has started. It's Monday through Friday this week, 11 to 7, weekends, 8 to 4, and day of election, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes, let's secure that seat. I love it. And one of the things that I wanted to jump into is, I mean, we're hearing a lot about the, Black women being too ambitious and all of those things. I'm just curious, has anybody told you that you are too ambitious or you're going too far into the sky about running for circuit court judge?
So people have, especially, as women, you're not married yet, you're not having kids yet. In the Nigerian culture, my dad's side is very, intentional. Like if you're not married at the age of 40 or 30, 40, it's really too old for them, but 30, they get upset and they're just like, what's your career? And you're an attorney and you're this and I'm like, this is my career. I was very intentional, wanted to be a judge. So I knew my career had to be diverse. I wanted to do different practice areas. And yes, I got married late. And my husband and I did have, complications of fertility, but there's always other options. And for us, we took the adoption route. My son was in our home at 3 weeks and now he's 5 years old. So, you do your dreams, you follow them, your ambitions. And, for me, what God has in store for you is for you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think there's so many Black women in particular that need to hear that story because we are conditioned to think you have to do this way and that way. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Nike, you've been an attorney for 20 years now, and you're running for this historic judicial seat on Miami Circuit Court bench. Why is this election so important? And what are some of the intentional steps that you've taken to become a judicial candidate?
Absolutely. So for us, it's historic because right now we have 123 judges. It serves a population of 2.7 million. And out of the 123 judges, only 11 African-American judges on the bench. Miami-Dade County is known as the 6th largest urban population in the nation. And so our bench doesn't reflect the population it serves. So with this being historic, I'd be the first African-American woman elected to the circuit court bench, which is 109 years old, with opposition. We shouldn't be having firsts in 2020, but we have them. And, and here we are. And as far as my steps, like I said I knew I always wanted to be a judge. So I made sure I had the state side, was working at the state attorney's office, being a prosecutor. You need leadership skills. So I supervised over 80 attorneys in the juvenile division to get them ready for felonies. I then needed some civil practice. So I went to the Miami-Dade Police Department and worked on forfeiture cases, public records requests, sunshine requests, any type of labor and employment with the officers who work there, taught at their school to make sure that I have the skills to be patient and a teacher. And now a defense attorney. I wanted to have a well-rounded career. So there's 5 divisions a circuit court judge could be placed in, and I've practiced in 4. And then the one other division, the 6th division, is appellate work, appeals, when something happens wrong in the county court and you want to appeal it, but new judges don't get placed there. So the only division I haven't worked in is probate, but I've worked in family, criminal, civil, dependency, juvenile. So day one, you put me in any of those divisions as a circuit court judge, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work.
I love it. I love it. And you know what's so special about this is you may be the first, which we're rooting for you. You'll be the first, but you won't be the last, because it warms my heart to know. And we don't have to live in Dade County to support, right? There's ways that we can support too. How are some of those ways, just for people who may want to know?
Absolutely. So I'll have a website, Nike, for judge.com, and we need volunteers, those people to make phone calls. We understand that a lot of volunteers don't want to go out to the polls because of COVID-19, and we clearly understand that. I don't want anybody, not healthy or, upset or hurt or sick. So we have phone banking. So we're reaching a lot of people digitally, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. It's all tags at Nike for Judge. And then to just support, there's endorsement, there's volunteers, support. All these yard signs, all these billboards you see, everything, costs money. So you just support by, going on my website and supporting that way. And yeah, you don't have to live here, because we want to make history around the United States. We want to empower, our young women and our girls and our Black men. I'm also a mentor for Women of Tomorrow, for 5,000 Role Models, a past teen court judge. Our young people are our future, our millennials, our generations X and Zs. We need people to get involved, to join the conversation. You can also call me at 786-571-8390 to find out more about me, to find out what's happening here in Miami-Dade County. As you see, I'll talk to anyone, I'll share, and just encourage everybody to, we're stronger and we're better together.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions, we have Nike here. We're rooting for her candidacy to become that circuit judge. And, if you have questions in terms of just leadership, we're talking about diversifying our government. And one thing I know for me, Nike, is, before I had some understanding about some of how this works and why I should be voting for the judges in our community. And that's the next question I wanted to ask you. Most people don't realize that the circuit court bench impacts our daily lives. What goes on in the circuit court?
Absolutely. It's a great question. I find myself educating more people about circuit and county court seats than myself. So circuit court judges are the ones who do the divorces and family, paternity issues, child support issues. If you are a business owner and you have, a business and a contract is breached, it's over the amount of $15,000, you're going to go into circuit court. If you're arrested for a crime that's over a year penalty, so that's our burglaries, breaking and entering into our home, robbery, a grand theft, automobiles, all of that circuit court. If a juvenile under the age of 18 is arrested, even though it's for maybe a misdemeanor, which is a criminal charge under the amount of 1 year, they all go to circuit court. Probate. When somebody dies and, everybody wants to fight over this furniture, this house, this piece of land, that's probate court. That's only heard in your circuit court divisions. Dependency, where I work now, where I'm defending the rights to parents who are losing their children. So if the state comes in and makes allegations against you, small allegations or high allegations, you're going to go only to circuit court. And county court's your traffic tickets, those red light tickets that here in Miami-Dade County we get, traffic court tickets, speeding tickets. That's county court. Small business owners, landlord, tenant, county court. So everybody forgets about the judges. We're at the bottom of the ballot. They skip over it. They don't fill it out. They don't do their research. They vote, man, woman. If I recognize this name, if I don't recognize this name. But I implore you to do the research. We all have websites. We all have social media now. We all have phone numbers to call and find out. But please, and do the most qualified. For me and my group, I've been practicing 20 years, my opponent 13. I have over 50 jury trials that I've done myself. He has 1 federal jury trial. I practiced in 4 of the 5 areas. He's practiced in 1 out of the 5 areas, and in that second area, appellate. But again, we're not placed in that division. So you just want somebody who's experienced, who has community service. I always tell them I'm not a politician by no means. I'm a public servant. I've done that in my career life, my legal career, and in my private life.
I love you. Better flex. Let them know give them the receipts. I love it. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so that we'll get there. I love that. And I hate to admit that there was a time in my life when I wasn't as aware of how important that part of it was, right? So I'd go and vote, but I'm like, oh, I don't know what judge I'm supposed to be, right? Because we'd get some of those flyers in the mail and we just do what we do with them, and now I understand the importance of knowing who I check, right? And so it's so important. So I'm glad that you said that. The other question that I wanted to ask you is, why is it so critical that we diversify the bench in a minority majority cities like Miami?
So what happens is, like I said, the stats are so low for diversifying the bench. You want a diverse, candidate on the bench, and you also want a diverse person with their career. So it's very important to make sure that our bench reflects the community we serve. We're public servants. We serve the community. And so when the community goes in, you're going into court probably on your worst day. You're upset, you're afraid, you're nervous, you're scared. You don't know what's going to happen. And your judge that sits there, it's an everyday, thing for them. But you want to make sure that they address their implicit bias, that they don't look at you as a stereotype, that they not too sure where you came from. Because yes, they sit high and look low, and they're there as a judge, but they're not there to judge you as an individual. They're there to judge a set of facts, a circumstance that happens, evidence that comes before them. So you want a judge that has empathy, that has understanding, who's compassionate, who's considerate, who's fair, who doesn't judge you for your appearance, but judges you for, the facts of a case that comes in. And it's very important. It's important that, for you, that we have a seat at the table, that we have a seat on the bench, that we diversify the bench, and that we make it fair and equal for everyone.
Thank you for sharing that. And, I'm a big proponent of securing our seat. And it's not just in corporate America or nonprofit. This is in every branch of government. This is across the boards. And so I'm just so happy that you put your name out. You put the work in all those years to put yourself in that position. And so many of us sometimes, we have one question in the chat and they say, where did you get the confidence to get into an arena like this?
I think mom and dad. I think, my dad is a strong Nigerian man. He's has 7 girls, 2 boys. And he's like, you're an Adebayo, you just, you walk into a place, a courtroom, and you want to have that confidence. Because I think confidence is it's a lot, right? So you walk in, you may not know everything. I don't know every law out there. I don't know every statute out there, but I walk in with that confidence and the ability to say, even the confidence say I don't know, but I'll find out for you. Because you want to be ethical. You don't want to hire an attorney that says, oh, I know every aspect of the law and I know everything, or a judge who thinks they know everything. It's not true. We're human beings. We know what we know, and we should know what we don't know. And we should have the ability to say, I will find out. I will ask another colleague. I will refer to the attorneys who have been in this practice doing it, for a long time. And I think just mom and dad really, just said, go out and do it. Be strong, be bold. Of course, dad pulls back and say, okay, well, you should be married by 30. But he raised 7 very strong, confident women. And my mom's always been a role model, mentor. I'm the only child from my mom. So, I try to do it all.
Yeah, well, I know they're all proud of you. We're proud of you. So, thank you. We're going to take another question from the chat, and then we'll dive into some of my bonus questions here. But would you please share some of the challenges you've experienced as a Black woman in the legal profession, and how have you managed those situations?
Ooh, that's a good one. So it really began in law school. So coming into law school, they lowered the restriction so more minorities could come in. So we came in 75 strong in a class of like 350, and we ended with 50. And during that time, we had a lot of racial, issues. People didn't like that they lowered the standards. They didn't like that, minorities got in. They didn't like that minorities got scholarships to come to UM, as expensive as it is. And there were times, I wanted to give up. I'm like, first semester, I'm not going to make this. This is too much. And Of course, we turn on the music, I Will Survive, and, we talk to each other, we encourage each other. And there are a few professors, we always say, find a role model, find a mentor. And we had a lot of mentors who studied with us late at night, got us over that first semester, because that's really where it's hard. And then, of course, going into a courtroom, and are you the case manager? Are you the court reporter? Are you the defendant? Because you clearly can't be the attorney. And it's just a lot of people that you speak to give you the confidence to say, you can do this. But yeah, I've been, told couldn't do this, shouldn't do this. Thought if I didn't get into law school, I'd become a paralegal and then, go to law school. Didn't pass the bar exam the first time. And you just keep going. You just, you keep pushing till you get to where you reach. And you just, try to ignore and block the haters. I tell my son, I said, just tell them I don't care, because of course, he has darker skin than mommy and daddy. So he's still trying to figure it out. And we do talk to him about, adoption and how much he's loved. And then he goes to school and there's nobody that looks like him. And we just, encourage him to love your skin, love what you do, love yourself. And at the end of the day, let the haters hate and don't let them, they can push you, but don't stay down. Just always get up.
Yeah, great advice. There will always be people who, there will always be the they, yeah, right?
They talk a lot.
Yeah. I love how Brene Brown, she always talks about not paying attention to people in the cheap seats, because the people in the cheap seats don't get in the arena. They don't fight. They don't do the work that we do. So whenever somebody sends me a message or they don't like something that I've said, that's about women of color in the workplace or Black women advancing themselves, I think, you're not in the arena, so I don't have time. You can't go where I'm headed, like that mentality, So I love that energy. I want to move into our bonus questions. Nike, what is your favorite rap lyric and why? And I love business, but I also love grits and rap. I have to bring my authentic self to work.
Listen, I love it. A secret of me and a vice of mine is I watch reality TV. So I can download and watch it. So everybody teases me about that. So I thought about this question, and it was funny because on Instagram, on my timeline, somebody put, today was a good day. So I didn't have to use my AK from Ice Cube. So I say that a lot because you are going to have good and bad days, and people are really going to, come for you, or as we say, try you. And you just have to, like I said, you just have to keep it, keep it moving, keep it pushing. There's a lot of people like, oh, you're an African-American female and you're a prosecutor. How could you be a prosecutor? Well, if all, Caucasians are prosecutors and all African-American are public defenders, where do we get? You have to have us on both sides so we can balance it out. Because as a prosecutor, if I found a case I didn't believe in, they weren't credible, I didn't like it, I took it to somebody and said, hey, I've read this. I don't believe the victim. I don't believe the witness. I don't believe the officers. What can we do about this? Can we dismiss it? Can we offer a lower plea? You have to have us on both sides of justice. And so as a prosecutor, I prosecuted cases for over 10 years, but I'm also now a defense attorney. So I know what it's like to be on both sides. And that's the type of judge you want, who can see both sides of the issues and be in the middle and be fair and impartial. So that would be my rap lyric. Today was a good day.
I like that. That works for me. I love that you said we have to be on both sides. And I think that's so important in all industries. And I think that's been the problem in the breakdown and the systemic issues, right? We're not in leadership in many cases. We're not on, in the Senate in many cases in the ways we need to be talking about, on the judicial boards. And so I think it's so important. And I'm hopeful that, we will see ourselves in the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah. One day.
So, my last question is, what's one tip you would give our leaders watching on one thing they can do to make the workplace better than we found it?
I thought about this, and for me, I'm a big, sincere, compassionate person, and it's to be kind, because I've come into so many different workplaces where people are just not kind, and they leave their manners at home. And, they ask you questions that are, very inappropriate questions that they wouldn't even ask anybody else, but they kind of get comfortable and they get lax and they see you, more as a girlfriend and not a colleague or a coworker or an employee. We often cross that line. And for us as African Americans, I think we're loyal. We stay at a job way too long. and we don't, advance ourselves and move ourselves forward and say, you know what, I've been here 3 or 4 years. I'm guilty of it. I was at the state, like I said, I was at the state for over 8 years, left to the police department, then actually came back to the state, but I wanted to be in a different division in community outreach. But I think the tip really is to be kind. Just be kind to one another and, let everybody do the work, help, everybody along, and just, make the workplace something that we all want to do every day. I say to a lot of people, we do what we have to do until we get to do what we want to do.
I love it. I love that's a great tip. And we're wrapping up, but again, how can people support Olanike? Give them the facts in terms of like where to find you, where any information that they need so that even if they don't live in Dade County, Miami, that they can tell people, because we all know somebody who probably does. Right?
Right. Yeah. So for judicial races, it's county-wide. We have to go from what we call County Line Road or Aventura Municipality all the way down to Florida City. And like I said, it's 2.7 million. I can't reach 2.7 million, but I can reach enough to reach others. And this is my second run. My first run was unsuccessful, and I don't look at it as a failure. It was my first attempt in learning. I got 109,000 votes. I don't know 109,000 people, but you keep telling people and you get the word out and you tell everybody in Miami-Dade County, Miami Beach, we have like 36 municipalities. All of those people can vote in Miami-Dade County. So again, you can reach me the number 786-571-8390. The website is www.nike4judge.com. All social media handles at NIKE4Judge, FOR, judge.com. And the website is there. It's, again, volunteer, endorse, support. Go on it, just a couple clicks that you can do. And just get the word out and tell everybody. Again, we're in a large community. And everybody has to tell, like, I'd say 10 to 20 people, timeline, share my story, like comments, we comment back, we ask, we talk, we chat, and just we got to make this happen. So again, early voting this week is 11 to 7. There's about 25 early voting sites. If you haven't gotten, you can vote by mail. Every voting site has a box that's manned and a ballot box. I know a lot of people are worried about putting it in the U.S. mail. Just drive it to the early voting site. You don't have to get out your car. It's drive-through service now. Drop it in. And if you want to go in, no problem. Go into the polls and the day of election day, August 18th, and they're open from 7 to 7.
Yes. We're rooting for you. I'm just so happy that I think you've dropped so many gems, Nike, but I think it's so important that our listeners watching is sometimes things may not happen on our timeline, right? Maybe there's a reason why it didn't, things don't happen for us when we want them to, but then, the creator, the universe, God, whoever you chime into, opens up that space, like, when it's our time. And so, just before we go, is there any like final thoughts that you might say to somebody who they might have been missed over for that promotion and they're like questioning, should I go for it again? They've already said this, or just, I think sometimes we just need to be encouraged because the no's sometimes eat at us, right?
Yeah, the no's definitely eat at us, but I would just say be encouraged. And if this is what you want to do, you keep doing it. You keep, pushing, you keep, taking that exam, you keep studying for it. It will happen. And for me, I'll just share my last thought was during what we have is called qualifying week. That's the week in April where we actually pay an amount of money to the state. We're in the race. Nobody else can come in the race. It's closed at the end of that qualifying week. So during the week, I said, you know what, maybe I shouldn't run. COVID's happened. We haven't raised the amount of money we need. People aren't having fundraisers. We're doing things virtually. And my husband said to me, if you stay in the race, you have what, a 50-50 chance? If you get out of the race, you have 0. And then what are you going to tell your son? Because, they got to throw the kid into it, that you're a failure, that mommy just gave up. I was like, oh, no, I can't tell my son mommy gave up. Mommy fought too hard to have him in her life. And on my family, I'll start crying as a blessing. So there's no way I'm going to give up, that I'm going to stop. This is my dream. And it's a grassroots campaign. We're just asking everybody to support, to help, to get a yard sign, to get a billboard, and just pass along. So no, don't give up. If this is your dream, you keep doing it, and use me as an example.
Yes, well, we definitely do. I'm using it. We're proud of you. Either way it goes, but we're praying that we could celebrate with you. But we're rooting for you. If you know someone in the Dade County, Miami, please pass Nike's information along. I'll also, at the end of this recording, when it goes back on YouTube and LinkedIn, I'll make sure that I tag Nike so that you can pass the information along. But we're hoping that you'll be the next circuit court judge, Nike. Thank you for joining us today on Secure the Seat.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And thank you to everyone who joined in and had lunch with us. You could be anywhere on the internet right now and you were here with us. We'll see you next week. Share this information with others. We want to get this word out because we shouldn't just be securing our seat. We should be helping others secure theirs as well. And we'll see you next week here Monday on LinkedIn Live at noon. Have a great day, everybody.